2026 meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order just by having a moment of silence, if we could. Shall we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Any remote participant? The year and the things that we're going to achieve. With that, I'd like to call for a voice vote.
$700,147.
There you go. I'm gonna have you do the safety. Can I see a hand of everyone who is CPR certified? All right, I'm gonna ask Chris for you to be our first CPR in Dallas, for you to be the backup. And can I have a volunteer? If we have, so if we have no emergencies, thank you.
Thank. Not. It's been properly moved and hurriedly seconded.
We have a quorum. I don't get that, not in a roll call. So we do have a quorum, but I should probably call the roll for the record.
That. Thank you.
Ms. Hayes.
Here.
Ms. Holmes.
Here.
Ms. Luna. Ms. Bagley.
Here.
Mr. Gordy.
Here.
Mr. Karen Thomas.
Here.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Here, but
Ms. Mensing.
Here.
Ms. Heiser.
Here.
Dr. Young.
Present.
Director Zimmerman.
Here.
And Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Very good. So if we can approve our minutes again, I'd like to have a motion for approval.
So moved. Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? The minutes are approved. Next, I'd like to approve the agenda. I did it a little backwards. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
second.
Thank you very much. It has been approved, motioned and approval, second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. Okay. So, chair's moment. Breathe, and I'm breathing too. So welcome again to our February Operations Board meeting. We met this morning, the executive committee and myself, and it was an excellent debrief. So thank you for those who participated and was safe coming to the meeting in the rain. We really appreciate your input and your questions. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome our new DRPT director, Ms. Maria Zimmerman. Ms. Zimmerman, would you like to have a few words?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. It's very nice to be here, and I'm joined by my colleague, Mike McLaughlin, who folks know very well. Mike will continue to be deeply involved in VRE issues, so consider it here. But it's great to be with VRE. I have Milan, Virginia, but I've lived in Virginia since the 90s, in Arlington for a number of years, and then in Richmond for the last 10. I have worked on transit and rail issues across the Commonwealth, but also nationally and at the federal level. I was at USDOT during the Biden administration, but also I look working with you to continue to make VRE safe and affordable, reliable, and fantastic option for folks in Virginia to get around the corridors and into the metro area. So thank you.
We're so excited to have you. Okay, so what I want to do, I'm point of privilege. I want to go around the table so you can tell us your name, your title, and your jurisdiction, please, starting with George.
Hi, George Stewart, Gainesville District Supervisor for Prince William County. And welcome, and thank you.
Thank you. Mayor.
Juana Mensing, Mayor of the City of Manassas Park.
Tax Antonis, I'm board member in the Arlington County Board. We're not supervisors.
See, that's why I had him do that. Please,
Continuing the thread, I'm Vice Mayor Sarah Bagley of the City Council in Alexandria.
our former chair of the board. Yes.
Hi, I'm Janet Holmes, and I'm on City Council at Large in Fredericksburg. I'm Lori Hayes. I'm Spotsylvania County Board of Supervisors, Lee Hill District, currently the chair of our board.
Good morning and welcome and thank you. I'm Dan Stork, Fairfax County Board of Supervisors. I represent the Mount Vernon District where George Washington's home is. So thank you.
Wonderful. Andrea Bailey, I'm the Potomac District Supervisor in Prince William County, serving as your chair.
Katie Cho, I'm the CEO of VRE.
Leslie Lamb, Executive Assistant and Board Clerk.
Sonia Basket, Manassas City Council.
Dr. Pamela Young, Stafford, Board of Supervisors, representing Garrisonville. I'm pleased to return to the Virginia Railway Express. I've been an alternate also, second. So I'm happy, look forward to working with everyone, supporting the continued success of VRE.
Tom Gordy, I'm with the Prince William County Board of Supervisors, the Brentsville District, the end of the line, the Manassas line. So we have the quadrants. Very.
Thank you. I'm Rachel Sizemeiser. I'm the new Braddock District Supervisor on the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors and thrilled to be here.
Good morning, I'm Kate Mattice. I'm the Executive Director of the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission.
Wonderful.
Good morning, I'm Minchelle Kaur. I'm a General Counsel for VRE and PTC.
It keeps us honest.
Bob Schneider, Executive Director, Omni-Ride.
And Mike,
We know each other before.
you know me, just Mike. We all want to be like me. Okay, so thank you very much. Just a reminder to everyone, I've talked to some of you about committee assignments already, but we need to get on with the wonderful work of VRE. So I will be talking to you more in depth about it. But if you have not volunteered on a committee, please, please, please either call me or email me of your preferences. We are ready to do the work, willing to do the work, and we need your level of expertise to do the work. Okay, board members, you'll find a copy of the VRE 2025 annual report at your seats. Thank you so much, Les, for that. We appreciate it. I'm pleased to share with you the ops boards will be having a welcome luncheon for VRE, our new VRE CEO, Katie Cho, immediately following our meeting. All operations board members are encouraged to attend and enjoy some sandwiches and wraps from Nando's. I like Nando's. To get to know Katie a little bit if you have not had a one-on-one with her already. Finally, as the postmaster was unable to get this wonderful presentation to us for our last board meeting, I'd like to take this opportunity to call up our former chair who's drinking coffee. She had to have her coffee. If you come forward, please, I'd appreciate it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our Sarah. Look at her. She hasn't had her second cup. It is a great honor that present this to
All
you
right.
because you've been a wonder to our VRE board, and we just simply adore you and love your leadership. And so you're gonna teach me how to do that. But we're grateful for all the work that you've done, and I'm gonna tell everybody the work that she's done afterwards, but I was so excited, I wanted to give this to you now.
I appreciate it.
Les made sure that we were on point with it, so congratulations. Thank you for all that you do for our region, let alone VRE. You are a rock, and you're a wonder. So this is for you, for your service, so you can remember the great work that you've done here for us in the region.
Thank you.
Okay.
She's already slammed it down.
Okay, good. You're welcome. You're welcome. So I just want to highlight some of the wonder, as she's going to her seat, some of the wonderful things that she's done. She is the vice mayor of the Alexandria Commissioners Board, Women's Board, not supervisors, Sartaka says. But Sarah was very instrumental in opening the Manassas Park parking garage, finalization of the Manassas Line Funding Agreement, reinstatement of the Amtrak Step Up program, the advancement of numerous capital projects throughout the system aligned with transforming rail in Virginia, which is key as we go forward, and her monumental effort in leading the CEO and CLO search committees. All right, we have just the staple in the room, but and so it was excellent working with you. We had a great team in doing so. And so on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank you for all of your hard work and your commemorative service that you've given to us and to the region. The VRE accepts public comments from our citizens in person and electronically via the VRE website. Members of the public wishing to express their public comments have 3 minutes and we should take in their full name and jurisdictions where they live, and written comments submitted before 8 a.m. to us this morning. And so is there anyone in the room that'd like to address this? Madam Clerk, do we have anyone?
There were no electronic submitted public comments.
Okay, so thank you very much. Moving right along, item 9.
Item 9, yes.
Okay, there,
CEO report.
okay,
No, I was just saying, wow, we're moving right along.
Until I start.
okay. See, and I think we have 8 items on that. Doesn't matter, we're gonna move right along, if you would. Katie Cho, our new CEO.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chair Bailey. Good morning to everyone, all of the board members, all of the staff, and everyone who has made it here this morning. I want to really start off by thanking the board for putting your trust in me, and to the staff for the very warm welcome that I have received as both an outsider and a New Englander. I do believe that part of that warm welcome came with the Patriots losing the Super Bowl. As we won, but the first thing that I really want to cover today is thanking Dallas Richards for his strong leadership as the interim CEO during this transition period. He's made my transition into the role very easy, and I really appreciate that. So on behalf of the entire organization, Dallas, if you would please come up here. Thank you, Doctor's baton. Welcome. All wrapped up. Given a picture.
Oh, yeah. Sparkling baton, just for that. Thank you, Liz.
Take it out of the box.
Awesome. Wow.
Like a wand.
Yeah.
Literally, thank
You did there.
Yeah.
So looking at my first month, it's been just about 30 days, and it really was quite a whirlwind of activity in this 30 days. I focused really primarily on relationship building, learning about the organization, learning about the area, and advocacy for VRE and transit in general. I was able to spend time in Richmond, Fredericksburg, Fairfax County, and Alexandria in particular. I have many more places to visit. So if I have left out your jurisdiction, it is because I have not yet had time, but I will get there. I have met almost all of the employees. I've had a system tour and I visited and put eyes on all of our facilities and our stations. So it's been a really busy month. I've also had the opportunity to speak with most of you one-on-one, which has been really very important to me to get to understand what your concerns are, what your priorities are, who you're representing, what your constituents need out of VRE. For those of you I haven't had a chance to meet one-on-one with, I believe that I'm scheduled with everyone over the course of the next 2 weeks. So I'm looking forward to those discussions. One thing I have very much learned is that VRE has an incredibly exceptional team. And I think all of you have known this, and I certainly love what I'm walking into. It has been great to be able to empower them to be bold and creative, and really not be constrained by the past is one of the things that we have been really talking about. We operate in a dynamic environment. Everything's changing every day. That is true on the commuter rail and the rail side. It's true about the region. It's true about just everything that we're doing. And we can't leave anything on the table. So we are revisiting ideas and past decisions and thinking forward about what we can do differently. And I will say the staff is really ready up for the challenge. They've been excited by this. My main priority as I'm walking in is to successfully transition VRE from the commuter service that it is today to a full regional rail system. And this is laid out very clearly in the System Plan 2050. And 2050 is quite a ways from now, but I will say 2030, which is where we meet our first milestones in this, is only 4 years away. And so that really, our eyes are really on 2030. And what that means in terms of schedule, I like to remind people of this because it's not on every tip of everyone's tongue, but it is so incredibly important to keep our eyes on this prize, is that we will triple to quadruple our peak period reverse direction trains in 4 years. That we will double to triple our off-peak service, depending on the line. We will almost double the number of daily trains we have running. We will increase our express service by 4 times on the Fredericksburg line and 9 times on the Manassas line. And we will establish robust weekend, not just Saturday service. 4 years is only 48 months, which is not very far. It's not that many board meetings. We've had this discussion about how to measure this. It is very, very much on the horizon. And so we need to make sure that we are all on track. In order to successfully do this, there are 3 sort of focus priority areas that we will be looking at and we'll be looking for assistance with. The first one internally is ensuring that our infrastructure and asset work is progressing on schedule. So this is really all about the capital plan, the vehicle procurements, making sure that we've got the infrastructure and the assets to be able to run this increased service. It includes aggressively pursuing opportunities to deliver more, better, and faster. You will hear that from me regularly, more, better, and faster. It also means working with our partners, particularly at BPRA and Keolis, to ensure that they are also moving on track with where we need to be so that we're all moving together. And that's what's really important, is this doesn't work unless we are all moving together. And so that partnership is critically important. Secondly, we need to improve the reliability and quality of our service. This is all about retaining the riders that we have, because we can't grow our ridership if we move backwards in this transition period. And so this means continuing to progress our state of good repair program, to continue to progress our renewal work to make sure that we are reliable, and to work on the resiliency of both our service and our infrastructure and assets. And then lastly, while we need to retain ridership, we also need to work on growing our ridership. And this is the other important part that we will be focusing on. We need a strong focus on communication and marketing. And in particular, we need to be communicating about the competitiveness, the ease, and the value of riding the VRE. So those are really the focus areas that you're going to see from us in the next year. I do want everyone in the organization, and frankly, everyone in this room, to know and be able to articulate how they contribute to these goals, because we need everyone working towards this direction. And we need all of our decisions to align to these 3 focus areas, to the 2030 goals and the 2050 goals. That's how we're going to meet this service transition. Looking forward much closer than 2030 in the next month. Thinking about what our next steps are for me, I plan to continue our relationship building and experiencing our service area, visiting places I haven't been yet, really getting the feel of who VRE serves. I will complete my evaluation of the organizational alignment to our 2030 needs and making sure that we're set organizationally for success. And then I will, over the next 30 days, be hiring a chief operating officer to support the to support the transportation and mechanical teams and position us for success for that 2030 and beyond. Moving away from sort of the goal-oriented larger pieces, we do, the last month was my first month. It was also particularly a tough month for our operations. We had several incidents that were quite an introduction to the service. So we're going to go in a little detail about these. The first one was our snow event in January 24th and 25th. And I'm actually going to turn this over to Chris Henry, who is our Director of Rail Operations, to discuss our storm response.
Thanks, Katie. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, as Katie said, her first month was a little challenging as we got into this. And I would say, in the 16 years I've been here, I've never seen an event like that and how it impacted service and everything. So it was very interesting. I thought it would be good because there's a lot of new members to talk about how we make the decision on what we're going to do with service based on these storms. So we have a few priorities. Number one, we want to take a look and make sure we can provide a reasonable service. Meaning, is it safe for passengers to get to our stations? Can we get the equipment out and running? Can we get the crews on site to operate the equipment? In this particular event, I think all of those were a challenge. We start out always by getting our facilities crews out. And I know there's a few of our facilities guys here today. They started on Saturday of that event. You know, the snow started Saturday night. They were out there pre-treating, preparing, getting everything ready. And then they worked through the night to try and keep things clear to be ready for Monday morning service. The event was a little stronger than anyone, I think, expected. And so while they were successful, and we probably could have come out with something, other factors played into it. Our next step, what we look at is we'll call the railroads and say, okay, if we opt to run, can you guys support our service? Meaning with CSX, will they have crews out there to clear trees, to if there's signal issues? Or has the storm affected their network somewhere where they've shifted resources and they can't protect our service? So that has to go into whether we're going to operate or not. In this case, CSX was having issues. Their switch heaters weren't keeping up with the ice, which meant that the railroad was straight tracked. Meaning there's no crossovers, ways to work around other trains and things. So it was literally just a straight railroad. Would have been very difficult for us to operate, especially with bidirectional service getting out there. Union Station, we had challenges from Amtrak. They went on what they're calling the Snow Plan C, and I will tell you it's the first time in 16 years that I've ever heard of Snow Plan C. But apparently Snow Plan C means that we don't have access to the coach yard. The coach yard is where we store all of our trains on the midday layover. So they said, yeah, you can bring some trains in, but you can't leave them here. So that kind of defeated the purpose there. It made it a challenge to operate. The next thing we do, we get on a regional snow call. It's managed by the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments. There's a couple of people on there, but all the major DOTs and transportation agencies in particular discuss the challenges, their plans, what they foresee. We also get a briefing from the National Weather Service, and we have a representative from OPM, the Office of Personnel Management, to discuss impact on the federal government, because that's going to play a role. Now, I will say we take all those things into account. We will decide if we can operate, and then OPM's decision to either open or close or partially open or whatever doesn't necessarily play into our decision whether to operate, but it might determine what level of service we choose to offer. If they're going to close, but we feel it's safe to operate, we may operate an S schedule, which is half our normal service. Or if they're open, we are certainly going to do everything we can to try and run a full service, something in between. In the case of this ice storm, the OPM actually closed the government Monday and Tuesday fairly early, which allowed us to make the call fairly early that we were not going to be able to run service because of those other factors that we had kind of leading into it. Our goal then shifted to, let's be ready to come out on Wednesday with at least an S schedule. Half our service, get everybody up to at least into the district. Amtrak came back to us and said, sorry, we're still under Snow Plan C, so we can't take your trains. So since we couldn't run an S schedule and take all our trains into Union Station, we knew we could park 5 trains at the new seminary yard, talked Amtrak into allowing us to park 2 trains on a single track at Union Station. So we chose to operate a modified S schedule, 7 trains, 3 from the Manassas line, 4 from the Fredericksburg line. It was a very different schedule than we would typically run, but it was all we could get out there because of the constraints. I want to say that it sounds like an easy decision, but we had to go to CSX and literally go into their back office system and generate new profiles for new trains and where they're going to go. It was a heavy, heavy lift for everybody involved to be able to get us to actually operate any kind of service on Wednesday and Thursday. So I did want to thank the CSX guys because they really went out of their way. And happenstance, the manager of the commuter desk at CSX down in Jacksonville, Florida, used to work in our comm room for us about 14 years ago. So it helped that she was there. She was able to go into the system and redo all the profiles manually, spent overnight a couple of times doing all that so that we could operate. So it was a big lift. So we came out Wednesday and Thursday with that kind of modified S schedule. It went okay. We were there to provide service. We got folks up. Ridership was predictably low. Our plan was then if we could get Amtrak to allow us into Union Station on Friday, we knew ridership would be low. We wanted to run a traditional S schedule on Friday, get all 8 trains on the S schedule into Union Station, which would then give our crews a chance to go out to the seminary yard. That's the new yard that we have down there. It's basically a just barren rail yard, and we needed to physically clear switches and just get the conditions in a much better, get the whole yard into better shape out there. So we ran an S schedule on Friday, gave us a chance to get out there. And I wanted to thank the Keolis guys in particular for making that happen, especially Phil. I know Phil's not here, but Phil was out there by himself probably for 3 days with a weed killer torch to kind of get ice out of the switches and digging out the gates and making it so that we could actually operate a safe operation out there. So that's what we did. We came out Friday with an S schedule, and then we got everything back to full schedule coming Monday. So it was a very rough week. A lot of last minute decisions and doing things that are not traditional for us. But it was important that we got out there. And it took a tremendous amount of time. I can't even emphasize how many hours everybody put in to make it happen. It's the Keolis guys, the facilities guys, and everybody.
Yes.
Questions, anything?
Well, thank you for your report. We did it with zeal, intentionality, and safety. And that's the most important thing. And silence. Katie and I talked about this, and we wanted to make sure that you were aware of what had transpired, in the way that they had done it, so that we could respond effectively to our constituency if there were any questions. So are there any questions right now? Yes. Councilman. Commissioner.
Whatever, I mean,
Takas.
I think the trends are cool, especially in snow weather. So, two things. What is the level? And that's something we talked about that at COG, etc. There is a general feeling that there was a good communication between the different agencies, especially also the localities. And I'm going to give you a simple example for why VRE may be more than just a railroad. We have some parking garages that are covered, so they don't need to be de-iced and could be a resource for parking, local assets there, so that they are not blocked down the street. So what is the level of coordination with localities that VRE serves?
So during an event like this, primarily, so the facilities it is a very complicated matrix, from our facilities of who owns what, who's responsible for what. Some of the jurisdictions manage all the parking lots and everything are the responsibility of the jurisdictions. So some manage it themselves, some do it through contractors, some contract with VDOT, and then we do it in some cases. That's all coordinated with our facilities group. Our communications with the jurisdictions regarding service level and everything is usually taken care of through that snow call that we do with the Council of Governments. We have a speaking role in that meeting to let everybody in the region know exactly what our plan is and what we're doing. And I believe there's probably representatives from every group in our jurisdiction on that call.
And also we're committed to that coordination and to help out in any way that we can. So if you or any of you see opportunities for us to do more, open our facilities, like parking facilities or whatnot for non-rail use in these situations, just let us know and we will work through that coordination. So if we're missing an opportunity, happy to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, there are many details. For example, this time some of us at least, I believe all of us, but some of us for sure, have discovered that it's not only snow removal, it's also storage, because we had a very prolonged. So if our parking lots are, half used or not used, or we can, see a horizon of a couple of weeks that we can store. So this is an offer. This is additional resource. Let's say. The second thing, and I believe there are more things that just not occurred to me right now. And the second thing is, what do we know about the people who actually needed to take VRE and took VRE during these days, which is, departing from the classic OPM managed personnel.
Sure.
Yes. Because these are amazing people.
Yeah. And I will say our ridership in particular, VRE ridership, we know that 65% or so are federal government workers. And I think what we saw during the shutdown in October and November, our ridership dropped, but it didn't bottom out. And it's because the riders on VRE are typically the essential staff that need to be in DC, whether the government shut down or not. And I think we see the same thing in events like this, where there's enough of a base ridership of essential staff that need to still get up there regardless of what's going on with the federal government status.
Yeah, thank you for that. The reason why I'm asking that is railroad normally prides itself to be more reliable than everybody and everything else. So it is the point where that we make that if things are tough, the weather is tough, whatever, the railroad will get you their job, and that's back. And that's an important, result of all this work. I mean, thank you for the very hard work, but this is what I want to be able to say to my constituents. Thank you.
Yeah, Chris knows because I pushed him to run service and he had to talk me out of it because it wasn't safe. So that I agree with you that I think we want to be the ones that are providing safe transportation when roads are not safe. And so that is what we're continuously working towards. But there were all of these compounding factors, some of which were also, even if our parking lots were clear, the roads to get to the parking lots were not clear. And so there was a lot of sort of intergovernmental coordination that that we didn't want to be putting people in a situation where encouraging them to be unsafe. So there was some compounding factors there that I think in the future we'll continue to work through.
It's for everybody. Reliability in times of adversity is what public transit needs to excel at. And be able to show that, because this supports the image of public transit as, I don't need to take my car to go to the station. There is one bus. Okay, it will be like 90 minutes until they come, but they will. And that's the safest and best way and most relaxed way to do that. And that's an important thing. I think that we learned from this incident that this is something we need to work on.
So if I can, please entertain one more question because I want to move on with time. Thank you.
Just want to thank the team. I'm a regular Fredericksburg Alexander rider, and the facilities were in great shape. I know that the localities also have difficulty. The ice, you can call this an ice event, is much more so than a snow event. Were really difficult, especially with the piles on the corners. But both Alexandria and Fredericksburg stations were in great shape shortly after the ice event. So thank you to you and everyone on the team for all the work.
So I want to, in the essence of time, I do want to say that I can't say enough about the dedicated employees that work the storm, and Chris did allude to this. We had our facilities team who were braving the cold and the untreated roads, as we were talking about, to ensure that our riders would have something safe to return to. We had, Chris mentioned those developing the schedules on the fly and then getting them approved through all of our host railroads over the night. And then our communications teams who were really trying to notify the riders of not only the reduced schedule, but the new reduced schedule that they had never experienced before. So there was a lot of coordination there. Two of our sort of core team members that were part of this effort are here, and I just want to make sure that they get a recognition. Eric Johnson is not, he is out of the office this week, but we do have Brandon Stein who is here. So Brandon, if you could bring that. I will say Brandon slept in his truck at least one of these nights because while he was working on the VRE work, his house and his driveway were not getting cleared and he couldn't get back home. So this is Walmart parking lot, sleeping Brandon. And also Antonio Thems, who is also here on our facilities team, who probably did the same thing, but I didn't hear your sob story. So, And Paul was the one who was working on the schedules internally for us. And I really realized how much work went into that as I was talking with him at like 11 o'clock at night on one of those nights trying to work through the schedules. So just do a quick.
Yeah. Thank you.
I will go fast through the rest of this. I do have a couple.
Yes. Can we get everyone to silence their phones, please? Please, please. Thank you so much. Please.
Okay. We did have one other incident that impacted our schedule. This was a minor derailment at Seminary Road. I am going to ask Dallas to very quickly go through the service impacts and recovery we had on this, because it did happen about a week after the storm. So it was sort of followed quickly in line.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will be brief, and if there are any questions, feel free to find me after the meeting as we lunch, and we can elaborate. The facts just real quickly. It was Wednesday, February 4th at 6:30, train 337 in Seminary Yard. There were no passengers on board and no injuries. start there. So
That's
the thing is this, right? It's all about recovery. We talk about that a lot. Like recovery first and then addressing the failure later. The recovery is 4 pieces, right? Recovery first is passengers, right? Get the service, figure out what we can do for the service. Second is the equipment. Third is the infrastructure, track in this case, and fourth is operations, and what we need next. And so I will offer that. I went back after the fact and looked at the event recorder from the locomotive and compared that to my phone records. I was notified within 12 minutes, and I was on site within about a half an hour. Chris, I do want to give a shout out to Chris. He led the bridge line operations, right? Very much that conductor as well, right? Leading that, he was leading the bridge call while I was on the ground on site. And the recovery efforts, first and foremost, with the riders, we determined that many of the riders were, Manassas line riders coming south. What we did is we used train 315, which is the last Fredericksburg line of the train, to retrieve those passengers, bring them to Alexandria, where we then were able to get a PRTC bus. Thank you, Bob and team, for doing that. We were able to get a bus, get many of them home that day. Some chose to Uber home, right? We'd get in a car together and all go to Uber over to Rolling Grove Station or Uber to the Perk Center Station, that sort. So the passengers were taken care of immediately within, some would say probably less than an hour delay.
Yeah, within an hour.
Yeah, with less than an hour delay for the passengers, which is commendable. And then next, the equipment. So we deployed Crane Masters is one of 2 major derailment recovery companies. They were deployed out of Richmond. We're on site at about midnight, 1 a.m. We had the equipment re-railed by 5 a.m. I got home in a 3-hour nap at about 6:30 that morning. So we were happy with that. Next was the track itself. The minor track repairs were performed between about 5 a.m. and restored about 1:30, 13:30 that afternoon. And then the equipment itself was returned to the Broad Run Yard at about 5 o'clock that afternoon as well with the afternoon service. So we were able to get all that back. In the midst of all that, about 8 o'clock at night, we determined we were not going to have the yard operational by morning service for that Thursday service. So we made the call to go to an S service, S line, S schedule service. We contacted VRE to make sure we could get through the work zones, work limits that morning. And we contacted Amtrak to make sure we had the place to store those trains. So restoring the service, getting the S line, the S service rather, back online for the next day, and then full service back on. So within about 24 hours, we were back on service. The causes of the derailment are enumerated in my report, which will be delivered to the board here later this morning, if not this afternoon. Basically, it was a combination of less than defective conditions in the track, which have been repaired since. Next day, we are back in service. I've instituted a 5-mile-an-hour slow order in the yard and put in some gauge rods. We do have service repairs coming this weekend with one of our contractors that we deal with for helping with that. So we'll be back in service. We do have bigger repairs, rehabilitation planned in the next month or 2, so as well. But fully restored in 24 hours and making constant improvements with regular weekly inspections to make sure. I will say it was impacted by the weather. We had a scheduled inspection that was not able to be performed because of the weather, right? So you can't inspect track that you can't see. And so whether it would have found any defects is questionable, but certainly not available to us. But we were able to get it repaired. With that, I'll close unless there are any questions now.
Are there any questions for Dallas? Thank you, Dallas.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Okay, so I certainly hope that next month we have fewer exciting events to talk to you all about. But I will say that this did impact our performance. So these 2 events, compounded by the partial government shutdown, by the continued Long Bridge work window, we had a 3-week series of pretty tough performance. In terms of on-time performance, we're learning some lessons here, and this is particularly related to the work window, not the specific incidents. We are finding that we have less resiliency in our schedule. We have the same number of trains running by all of the freight railroads and Amtrak and VRE, all squished into a shorter period of time with the midday shutdown in service. And so what is happening there is whenever there is an issue with any of those trains, we're seeing compounding effects. There's less time to recover. So therefore, instead of having one train that may be delayed and everyone else can kind of be on time and be unaffected, we're seeing that there tends to be cascading delays related to that. So there's less resiliency in the schedule. We are also learning from the Alexandria Shuffle as we continue to do it. The first few days of taking people off half of the people off one train and moving them over to another train in Alexandria. We changed the logistics kind of every day, every time we did it for 3 or 4 days until we got it down to something that's actually working and is safe for everyone. So we've got those logistics down. We have learned that it takes somewhere between 6 and 7 minutes to do that. Which is not currently in the schedule. So our next version of the schedule will better accommodate the actual time it's taking to do the Alexandria Shuffle. We're also seeing a difference in ridership patterns. So we did expect people to move to an earlier train with this new schedule. We did not expect the volume of people that would also leave the office earlier to come home. So we saw a bigger than expected shift earlier in the evening. That's compounding our Alexandria Shuffle problems because those people are now on the trains that we're doing the shuffle with. So we're moving more people through that shuffle than we expected. That's another area that we'll be able to address as we do our next schedule adjustment. I will say we are learning every day. This is continuous improvement. As you can see, the last couple of weeks of on-time performance have actually been significantly better. So we're learning and we're getting better and we're adjusting as we go. When we look at ridership, again, those 3 weeks of ridership are down. That is not unexpected given the storm. When we look particularly at what we think are happening related to the work window and the partial government shutdown, we're seeing a 10 to 20% drop in ridership. You see that sort of in those 3 weeks. You will note that the next week we were back up to kind of pre-work window levels. So what we don't know is we can't take all of those compounding factors and figure out which one caused the ridership decreases. What we are watching for and what's more important is the pass sales for March. By the time we got into the storm, people had already bought their February passes. They already had their January passes. They're going to ride because they've spent the money on that. If we start to see a decrease in actual pass sales, then we will know that we are actually losing passengers due to reliability or the new schedules. So we have not seen that yet, but we don't have good enough numbers to know. It's too early to know for sure whether we're going to see that and whether that's something that will crop up a couple months from now or not. So that's something we're watching very closely as an indicator of performance and ridership. And this is just a month by month comparison of where we're at. So we are trending up. And I think that that's really positive, just given the performance and the challenges with the work window. And then I just want to end with some opportunities that we've had to get out into the community and celebrate. Joe and Lindsay and I were able to get down to Richmond for VTA Transit Advocacy Day. Great opportunity. Thank you for joining us for the end of that. Dallas was there a week later to accept 2 awards from ACEC Virginia for 2 of our projects, and this was really exciting. Quantico Station and Manassas Park Parking Garage both won awards, so great job. Our safety team continues to do outreach, particularly to area youth, about how to behave around trains and tracks. This is critically important since we do go through directly through so many communities. We want to make sure that people understand how to behave safely around trains. And then just kind of an exciting marketing opportunity, although also community building opportunity. VRE was a partner for the first time this year, partner and sponsor on Transpo Bingo, which is a community building event that happens basically to get transit and active transportation enthusiasts to do new and fun things with transportation and the transportation network. We partnered because those are people we want to be our cheerleaders, and we want them to know that VRE is an essential part of the transit network in the DMV area. And it's just a fun game. If anybody wants to see what the bingo board looked like and what the challenge was over the course of the 2 weeks to experience new and different ways to experience transit, we're happy to provide you a copy. It is likely something we will continue. They have a big celebration at the end. People come together to get prizes for how many of their bingo squares they filled out. So it was really a fun activity, and I'm glad we were able to participate in that. And then I want to introduce a couple new parts of our VRE family. We do have one new employee this month, Suk Sidhu. Suk, if you want to stand up.
Morning, everyone.
Is joining us from London, although he's been in the area for over a year, so not directly from London. But, yes, and he was customer service manager in London, responsible for 6 stations on the Central Line. So he comes with fabulous experience, and we're really excited to have him here. He's a senior communications specialist and will support VRE's operational communication needs and customer support. So if you come to the office, he may very well be sitting at the front desk. You get a chance to say hi, but also does a lot of work with our operations team. And then we are also celebrating baby Ethan. So we're welcoming back Charlotte Norris. She's our system safety and security manager. She returned, I think, last week from maternity leave, and baby Ethan will absolutely grow up to be one of VRE's biggest little fans. So please, everybody loves a good baby picture. So I'm going to end with the baby picture. But I am happy to take any questions. I think we covered probably most of it as we were going along, but if there's anything in particular you want me to talk about, I'm happy to. It's been a bit of a wild month. I'm looking for a little quieter one moving forward.
Yeah, let's take a few minutes for questions. Any questions?
Well done.
Well done. Oh, wow, Katie, welcome, welcome home.
Yes.
Yeah. So, welcome. We're glad to have you. And baby Ethan is our new conductor. Dallas passed that on. That's awesome. Yes, and did I hear, are there any questions? Okay, shall we move to our action items? There are 8. Let's start with item 9A, and that's authorization to execute a contract for construction management services for the Broad Run expansion project.
Yeah, the first 2 items that we're going to talk about do concern Broad Run expansion. They're the first in a series of actions that the board will see related to this project over the next couple months. And because of that, I have asked Dallas next month to come in with an information item on this project so that you can all see the context that these votes are going to be taking place within. So I just want to let you all know that that's happening. Broad Run expansion increases our train storage capacity to enable all of that work that are the service expansions for 2030. So that's the context that we're working in here. It's timed with the delivery of the new rail car orders from us. So with that, we are recommending that the VRE Operations Board to authorize the Chief Executive Officer to execute a contract with Accenture for construction management services for the Broad Run expansion project in the amount of $8,862,993 plus a 10% contingency for a total of $9,749,292.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Madam Chair, what was it? Who made the motion?
Tom made the first and
Thank
Lori
you.
made the second.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, any abstentions? Item number, it's passed. Item number 9B, authorization to issue an invitation for bids for construction of the Broad Run expansion project. Katie.
Thank you. This recommendation is the second of the Broad Run items is for the Operations Board to authorize the Chief Executive Officer to issue an invitation for bids for the construction of the Broad Run expansion project.
Second. Okay. You're not leaving until 12 o'clock. No.
Actually,
No, it was
Sonia.
Sonia.
Sonia, oh, okay. Okay, it's been properly moved in second. Are there any questions on this item? Yes, Tom. I mean, Dan,
Yeah. no problem.
sorry.
I'm sorry, it actually was for the previous one, but I know the projects are related. The question I had was a broader one and maybe can't be answered now. Some of the experiences that we've had with capital projects, we meaning Fairfax County and my own experiences over decades, was that we have an entity that bids for an LLC in this case for a project. And it's a holding company or somewhere or other is insulated from other liabilities. So if they don't perform, it's difficult to go any deeper in that. And so just broadly, ensuring that if there's a project problem over the course of this, that they can't just go, well, sue me and there's nothing there. So I just would like to at least, I don't need an answer now, but just would want to understand how do we protect ourselves from those kinds of, I'm not suggesting that Accenture is one of those organizations, but it's really more that broader liability assurance that I want. And
Yeah, it's a good question. Cho, do you want to talk through what we have for protections in our contract?
We do have processes in place during procurement to handle that. I mean, we required them to disclose their legal structure. And that's all part of, if they have subsidiaries, if they're a parent company, they all have to disclose all of that. I don't believe we've ever run into issue of having any problems recovering from the contractors.
And we make sure that we have language in the contracts that we are able to fall back on in terms of performance, in terms of our ability to recover funds or whatever we need to be doing for poor performance or for issues on the projects. So I believe that our contracts are structured in such a way that we are protected from any performance issues. But we have a strong management team that also make sure we're getting ahead of any issues.
There are
really
also
more of a broad.
performance bonds in place. So
Penetrating a corporate veil is very difficult, and that's really the core of my question. In the end, we're relying on the quality of the overall organization. And one of the things that we did in this other situation is literally the partners were not permitted to, when this thing happened in another place, were permitted to bid, but the limitation in Virginia was, I think, 5 years or something. So I just wanted to make sure that we're sensitive to that and that you all, as part of the work you're doing, are vigilant about that. So,
Absolutely. Thank you.
And I would assume that no matter the level, it's consistent with that process.
yes, and we get performance bonds from the responsible entities.
yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Good. Any other questions? Okay, shall we proceed with item? Did we vote? We did, okay.
Yes.
Okay, the first, that was the questions. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Vote passes. Thank you. Item 9C.
Yep, we're gonna move on to Longfont Station. Just a reminder that Longfont serves about 45% of VRE riders, so it's a critical station in our system. The Longfont Station and Fourth Truck project is VRE's first project using the CMGC delivery method. And it must be completed in conjunction with the Long Bridge project in order for our 2030 goals and the increase in service to come to pass. So it's critical. This is a critical coordination project. So the CMGC procurement is underway, has already been approved by the board. The procurement is in process. This is for the support of both the project and the procurement this contract is. So we're asking the VRE Operations Board to authorize the Chief Executive Officer to issue a request for proposals for cost validation services for the Longfont Station and Fourth Track project.
A pinnacle move.
Yes.
Pinnacle move. Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion in a second.
Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Did you get that?
Mr. Karen Thomas, yes, and Ms. Beck.
Yes. All in favor? Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a
What?
question.
I'm sorry.
I have just a question, discussion on this. So this is the first time that we do the manager contractor way of delivery, and CVS will be now the entity that will investigate the cost and report, et cetera. So in what way are we going to be having insight on how CVS works? And, is that auditable, et cetera? Because
So-
the product is the maximum cost, right? That we will
Yes.
have a statement of maximum cost, but we have to be able ourselves to be able to look at the
Yes.
books.
So one of the best things about the CMGC or CM at risk delivery method is that it's all open book from the contractor. We have absolute visibility with the contractor in terms of what their costs are. And so what this firm does is help us to analyze the costs that we're getting from the contractor, take that visibility or take what they're able to see in the books and help us to do the analysis on it, make sure we're getting the best value. So this is a support service for us to make sure that we're holding the contractor accountable and getting the best value out of the contractor.
The reason why I'm asking that, Madam Chair, is because I want the public to know that.
Okay.
Because this is big bucks and it's big stakes. So
It is.
it is very important that the general public understands that we do everything that is reasonable and open to control the cost.
Yes.
In our region, we have experienced other situations that are very uncomfortable, and I don't want to be in this, right?
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair.
I think the question was asked, but I don't recall us doing this before. And is it related to this particular type of contract, or is there something that we've used this kind of service before?
So the construction management contracts that you approve all have cost validation services in them. But with the CM at risk or CMGC delivery method, it's a higher load than what we would typically see in a regular contract, just with the way that the bidding and the contract management works. So we're looking for additional services in this case through a separate firm. So that's why you're seeing it separately broken out in this project versus something we do on a regular basis under sort of wrapped into other services.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Any other, Mike,
To
please?
the supervisor's point, BPA for a couple of our large projects have used a similar type of cost validation for Long Bridge and Franconia bypass. It's very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Independent analysis to be able to see. So when price negotiations come in with the contractor, we have a firm base from which to work from.
Awesome. Okay. Yes, ma'am, please.
Just really quickly, and again, I'm new to this, so this may have been considered before, but have we ever considered having an internal independent, sort of like an auditor or, inspector general to do this services instead of contracting out? If we're doing it on every contract, I don't know which would be more cost efficient, which would make more sense, but just a curiosity. I can't remember.
Yeah, so we do some internal cost estimating. Dallas's team does do initial internal cost estimating. And so that we have some internal capacity for that, but we certainly don't have the internal resources to support the entire program. And we do continuously evaluate whether we should be outsourcing services or insourcing services and what's the best value. In this case, I think continuing, this can be a big lift for projects like like L'Enfant. There may be opportunities as we continue to grow the capital program to bring some of these services in-house. But I think in this case, having it independent as outside is probably the right call.
All hearts and minds are clear. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is passed. Okay, item 7D, authorization to provide a letter of support for the VRE of application of FY 2024-25 federal state partnership for intercity passenger rail program funding. Okay.
Yep, this is the last item related to infrastructure improvements for 2030. Mike, do you want to speak to this one?
Sure, I'd be happy to, and I think Supervisor Stork might be interested in this as well.
Totally.
We have a current suite of projects that are moving down to roughly Lorton Road. Alexandria Fort Track, Long Bridge, Franconia Lorton third track. The Franconia Lorton third track ends about Lorton Road. And we collectively with CSX, the goal is to continue moving that third track south to Spotsylvania, which makes sense because it's end of the VRE territory. So The next official phase with CSX is about over 4.6 mile. We call it Aquan River Third Track. However, we want to be clear that we can break this up into pieces. And we actually are looking at two pieces, the piece being north of the river, which I've talked to Supervisor Stork about. We're calling Lorton through Furnace. So we would move the third track from Lorton through Route 1, through Furnace Road, and fix the substandard bridges from a VDOT perspective at both Route 1 and Furnace Road. Widen underneath, so at both locations, and also raise profile or lower the road, whatever, but the car will be able to get, the vehicles will be able to get through while minimizing the impacts that strikes will have on bridges, because anytime you strike a bridge, someone's got to come out from CSX and make sure it's okay. So just want to be clear that this is, while it's one application for design, the application for design of the whole from roughly Lorton Road through Woodbridge Station, so this impacts Prince William County too, that we can break this up into pieces. We need to get a cost estimate, and design helps with that. Because right now, if we have a cost estimate, the last cost estimate we had for the northern part of Lorton to Furnace is a couple of years old. And we need money to move design forward. We want to do design forward. So this application is for through final design. It's over $170 million application for design and program management through that whole 4.6 mile stretch. That's a lot of money, but keep in mind the Aquan River Bridge is going to be a tough one to build, but we do want to, while we can break it up in pieces, we also want each piece to inform each other, because one day we do want to move, this will be the next major third track project moving south. So we want VRE supporting it. We've talked with Dallas and others over the years about the importance of continuing to move that third track south. And it's going to help toward that 2030 plan and 2050. Sorry, it's going to help toward that 2050 plan. 2030 plan again is funded, but we need to start funding and getting design up and running. So we have a good cost estimate. So then the next step would be to go to either the Commonwealth or the federal government and or look at other sources to help fund construction. But we need a good cost estimate, and that's what this application is doing. Putting together design, and we'll be able to get the cost estimate too.
With that, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yes, I'm going to go here, and Travis, did you have something? Okay, please.
Real quick, does this letter of support obligate VRE operationally and financially, or is this just I don't know if there's a grant involved?
No, I believe there's a tiny CMAQ grant that was already tied in with Woodbridge Station. Yes, Mark, yes. But it's a much lower dollar amount. Yes. Because there were.
$2.2 million.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, what?
So would you like to stand?
So there was a series of projects that VRE was going to undertake.
Yeah.
Before Transform Rail Virginia. And so we're trying to merge the projects together.
It's a non-binding letter.
Non-binding. So beyond that money, there's nothing binding on VRE.
Yeah. I just wanted to know that February 6th needs to be 2026 and not 2025 in the letter.
Oh, yes, I think we actually corrected that.
Okay.
We caught that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Details, I love it. I love it. Okay. If there are no further questions, like, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No abstentions? Motion passes. 7E is authorization to extend the lease agreement for parking at the Ripon VRE station. Katie.
Okay, so we're moving on to customer experience items. And so in this case, this is, we're asking the VRE Operations Board to authorize the Chief Executive Officer to extend the lease agreement with RCKF Riverside PLP LLC for parking at the Ripon Station in the amount of $205,002 for 1 year. I just want to note on this one that we are currently negotiating the purchase of this property. Or at least looking into the purchase of this property. So this is asking for a lease extension while we continue those discussions and evaluation. Ripon is our highest parking utilization on this line, so it is really critical that we actually have this parking available.
This is the extension of previous conversations that
Correct.
we've had as
Yes.
well. Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on this item? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Item number 7F, authorization to amend a contract for IT consulting for train information, provide maintenance and support.
Yes, this is the TRIP system. The TRIP system is our passenger messaging system, and it provides passengers with scheduled and ad hoc messaging and VRE train near real-time status on our station platform. So this is essentially how we communicate with our riders in real time about our trains and the status and the schedule. So we are asking the operations board to authorize the chief executive officer to amend the contract with PowerSolve for the trip maintenance and support contract in the amount of $98,813 plus a 10% contingency for a total of $108,694. This does increase the authorization for this contract to a total amount of $308,644.
I'd like to entertain a motion for this item, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's probably moved and seconded. Got any questions on this item?
So it says that this just extends it out to June 30th of this year, or is it intended to go beyond that?
I will need to double check on that because that is what it says.
Yeah.
I just need to confirm that. Is that, oh, Chris, do you know that?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
it
seeing
is
numbers.
Just
Okay.
to get to the end of this fiscal year, we think all the work that the developer is doing should be able to be wrapped up by the end of the fiscal.
Thank you.
Okay, and then beyond that, what is there a separate contract?
So then we would have a separate contract for the ongoing maintenance of that system. Right now, this is just bringing everything up to current standards on the back end software that runs our communications.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for your question. Ms.
I was
Ford.
hoping nobody was going to ask questions on.
You don't need to talk to back home. Okay, if there are no further questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. The next is item 9G, authorization to execute a sole source service level agreement for automated passenger counting system, software licensing, technical support, and hardware management. Katie.
That's right. So we're asking the operations board to authorize the chief executive officer to execute a sole source agreement with InfoDev Electronic Designers International to establish a 3-year service level agreement for our automated passenger accounting system. This is in the amount of $434,837 plus a 10% contingency for a total of $478,321. This is really our major data generator, this automated passenger accounting. And so this is a critically important system for us. Also feeds into the formula funding that we get because it notes the passenger volume that we have. And
Great, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
I have a question. I guess we'll do it after.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, did you get that? Liz?
Yes.
Okay.
So this, I think, is kind of what we were talking about with the one-time count, right? Every year.
That's what I wanted.
So would this be able to then kind of hone in where they're from?
this does not. So
Okay.
there's sort of two pieces to how we count our passengers, and Chris, jump in here because I haven't done one of the annual counts yet. So keep me honest with what I'm saying. This counts every train, every stop, every time somebody steps on and off the train.
Okay.
But it's literally just a counter. So
Okay.
all it does is say there's a body there that's getting on or off. What our annual survey does is ask all those additional details. Where are you coming from? Where are you going? Where do you live? So that we can get all of the details about who those people that are getting on and off the train are. So there is a difference, and we don't have the ability to automatically through these counters find out who people are, nor do we really want to be tracking that. Frankly, I don't want that data. And I'm guessing people don't want me to have that data. So they're complementary, but they're not the same.
Okay.
Did that answer you?
It did. It did.
Chris, did you have any addition to that?
No, no.
Okay, great.
So I have a follow-up question.
Please.
So, because I read this too, like, oh, okay, so this isn't gonna give us any more data
Yeah.
than we already have. But what we already have through this data is knowing how many people are getting on at each train, at each
On
stop.
and off at each
On
train,
and
at each
off.
stop. Yes. And it can, I just confirmed this week, it can tell us how many are getting on and off. It's not just number through the door. It is literally who's getting on, the numbers getting on and the numbers getting off at each stop.
Okay, so that's good data.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
just no way, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. There, I think we're on the same wavelength on this, that, you know, standing out there one day a week seems very antiquated to me, right? You know,
One day a year.
one day a year, sorry. One day a year, you're dependent on weather, you're dependent on what's going on just in the world. And so, and I get it, like, we don't want to be data collectors like Big Brother, right? But at the same time, in order to really get that data, I think it needs to be captured over a greater period of time.
Yeah, Chris, I'll let you, because we've been talking
So
about
the
this.
passenger count system will do a couple things for us.
Okay.
It's meant to replace what is now kind of, we do a physical count by the conductors on board at one point. We put it through a formula that's verified every year. This will do it automatically for us. We'll know where people get on, where they get off, how long their rides are, the whole thing. The thing it will replace on the annual survey is, you know, we have jurisdiction staff out at every station counting people on that day, how many people get on at Spotsylvania County Station, how many people get on. We won't need to do that anymore unless the master agreement requires physical folks to do that, because this system will be able to do that for us. And not just on that one day, but every single day. So you'll be able to see all the trends, you know, almost in real time, every day.
Okay, one follow-up question. I'm sorry, just because I want to make sure I have this right. So I know on the annual count, I believe they're asking, where do you live? So like if Spotsylvanians are going to Fredericksburg, they're not getting credit for the Spotsylvanians.
We do that as the survey on board the train.
Right.
But we also have jurisdiction staff who are at the stations on that same day, physically counting ons and offs. That you won't have to do anymore. We will still have to find a way to survey the passengers to get the additional information of where they live, where they work.
Madam Chair, thank you. It's the same question similarly, but just different in the sense that you already have the ticket, like when they purchase the ticket, are you all cross-referencing the ticket count, like where it was purchased and where they're going across the ones that are stepping on and off? Is there any ability to do that?
So we can see that if you're talking about the paper ticket system. But the paper ticket system right now only accounts for about 25 to 30% of our ticket sales. Everything else is on mobile. We can see what zone tickets they purchase, what origination and destination stations that they're using, but we can't see. The question for the master agreement survey is, what jurisdiction do you live in? Who do you pay taxes to? Not necessarily where you drive.
Because we're right in the middle. We're not at the end, but we know we have a certain number of employees that, you know, get on LaFont and get off at Stafford, but we don't know that number. So, yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your question, Ms. Holmes.
And just to follow up with the data that's collected from this, might that not help us also with marketing?
Yes, very much,
Yeah.
very
So we
much.
see
It's
what-
also, what Chris and I were talking about this week was really, I was talking about schedule reliability also. It actually gives us not only the, you know, the number of people, but it says when the train arrives at the stop, how long it dwells there, when it leaves. So it actually will help us with actually getting our schedules to be more accurate as well, because we'll have more fidelity in the data, you know, in along the line.
Yeah, excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
So, and that is one of our visions as well, the marketing piece of
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for all of your questions. Oh, Dan, I'm sorry, Mr. Vice
That's
Chair.
fine. For, you know, the state uses this. I know our local the marketing organization, visitation, marketing, tourism. There's now cell phone data out there that you can use that tells you pretty much all this. Have we looked at this? Is that an alternative? And
We have.
it's
Yeah. Do we-
minimized, but
We do use it. And it's big picture data. So it does help. We use it on a lot of our planning work. I don't know, Chris. Yeah, Nick, if you do you have anything to add to this? Because
Streetlight is a company that uses, it's called LBS data, it's location-based service, autonomous vehicles, like GPS systems and then cell phones. And so we actually used a lot of it to inform the work we did on the system.
Yeah, so.
it doesn't give us the fine enough data that we can at least use part of this, because I mean, I've seen it, it's pretty.
yeah, I think we use it in conjunction with our other data sets. So I do think maybe there's a point in time where we will be able to look at how accurate the data is compared to our annual survey, and it's possible, but I don't know that we're there yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna entertain one more question, please, Sarah.
It's two quick comments along the line Dan is saying. I would think our credit card purchasing data would be more useful, maybe, you know, like I know sports teams can literally block out zip codes when they don't want, you know, all the Eagles fans buying tickets in the Commanders stadiums. I mean, they can, you know, make you have to buy from a local zip code. So I assume we can at some point track the zip code that the ticket is purchased from, and that would align back to our jurisdictions. But the follow on to that is, I think what we might all benefit from is maybe from Min Chow giving some sort of brief memo or a reminder of how does the master agreement lay out how this is measured? Because to the extent we move away from our one time, one day, this is how it's done, it might, you know, I don't know how much that is literally bound up in the agreement, and that if we're going to consider other data, we have to be mindful of what the master agreement says and whether that requires reopening it, you know, to acknowledge this is what we all agreed to, you know, how we're going to accept it. 30 years have gone by, new data is available. Perhaps we need to revisit our methodology. I will just say, like, this idea of one moment is also, I mean, like the pit count for homeless studies, that's exactly how it's done. I mean, it's a point in time. So, you know, VRE is not wildly out of line with the idea of saying, let's pick a day that is reliably written, you know, and get out there and see who's there.
Yeah.
But 30 years go by, we could consider new methods.
Okay, I appreciate that. I think this is obviously something of interest to us. To what my fellow board member was saying about the antiquated piece of it. I think we're growing into another creative opportunity in how we're going to do this and get the data. So I appreciate all the questions. It has been properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, next item, the motion is carried. The next item is item 9H, authorization to execute a sole source contract for passenger rail car waste treatment tanks.
Yes, this is related to our reliability program for our rail cars. We are asking the operations board to authorize the chief executive officer to execute a sole source contract with Favely Transtech for the purchase of passenger rail car waste treatment tanks in the amount of $2,923,550 plus a 10% contingency for a total amount of $3,215,905. We do not want these tanks to fail.
You do not. Keep it in mind when you make your motion. I like to say that. Okay.
Second.
Absolutely. Are there any questions?
I have one comment.
We do not want this to fail.
So earlier, in the executive session, one of the commissioners said that, you know, we're all learning about trains and there are things that we don't understand. And when I read this last night, this was easy to understand.
Awesome.
And, you know, so I just wanted to say, we do not want them to fail. Yeah, it was
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Just as a general footnote, it's amazing how little competitive the market for this kind of equipment is. Not only for the specific one, but others. I mean, there is a line going through, you know, non-competitive adjudications here. This is an issue. Or, I mean, this is a very, we don't have too many options for these contracts. I mean, yes, we don't want them to fail, but it's not that we have those options to get something.
It is a problem across the entire transit industry with every type of vehicle, whether we're talking buses, subways, heavy rail, commuter rail, the industry, the manufacturing industry is consolidating and shrinking, and most of it is overseas. And so it is a real challenge as we head into procurement for new vehicles and equipment, to maintain our procurement practices and make sure that we've got competition.
Absolutely. So it's been probably moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We do not want this. The motion carries. We're gonna move into our information items. Thank you very much for that robust discussion. VRE Transit Asset Management Plan 2025 update.
Yes, I'm turning this directly over to Dallas.
Madam Chair, okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your comment. And again, I will be brief and entertain questions, discussion afterward if we need to as well. This is alphabet soup, but you will find in front of you a copy of the Transit Asset Management Plan report, or summary, if you will. There's a lot of acronyms. There's TAMs, there's LCMs, LMPs, GIS, right? I'll try to break it down as quickly, as easily as I can, but know that this document in front of you is actually part of that continuous improvement as well. There is an FTA requirement because of our funding that we have to keep our assets in a state of good repair. There are very specific measures for each one of those assets by category, defined by the term, the TERM, another one of the acronyms. What we have done, this, is basically this every 4 years, we revisit these, but it's a continuous process of measuring the condition of our assets on a regular basis, monthly, if you will. This is a report of the report, if you will, to tell you what we've been doing and how we've been doing it. I will say one of the greatest outcomes has been, to me at least, has been the GIS, Geographic Information System, based system that we have developed for. Basically, you can deploy, whether it's a tablet or your phone, a person can go in the field, visit an asset, whether it's the canopy or the lights or whatever we might have inventory, and assess the condition and quickly record that condition on their phone. That can be summarized in a report. If we have anything that is below a certain category, we can get alarms and those sorts of things so that it can be fixed, right? Put in a programmatic fix. So it's fixing it and keeping it fixed in that state of good repair, that this is what we do. It is important, not only because of a regulatory requirement, obviously, but it's important to us to keep those things, again, from a serviceability standpoint, customer facing standpoint, we want to keep them safe and reliable for that service. But also important to me is the growth in these assets. In the future, I do want to bring to you sort of what that growth trajectory looks like. As we've talked a lot about the capital investments that we're making. Eventually, those will be assets we have to maintain. I'm looking at numbers right now where by 2030, we may double our number of elevators, double or triple even our number of elevators. One of the most expensive things to maintain. So more difficult, necessarily expensive, but difficult to maintain. So think along those lines and the purpose of this. And then one of the outcomes of the review of one of our previous, I want to say 2018 reports to the FTA was that we're doing a good job, but you're not letting people know it, right? So that is what this is about, right? We need to document and publish that we are doing the report and share that with other bodies, both internally and externally. So there's a newsletter that we publish twice a year, usually once on the infrastructure, once on equipment. But this speaks to those management plans. That's all I have.
Well, we appreciate that because that's another marketing piece that we can go to and share. And so that's important. Are there any questions for Dallas for this wonderful report? Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Zimmer.
I do have a question. So I didn't know if you could put a finer point on when the report you expect says early 2026.
Yes. October of this year, 2025, and then the report in October, the fall this year.
Okay, so that's not early.
Yes. It's.
I'm just saying, so
I will confirm, yeah. And one of the things we've been adjusting is frankly the VRE ownership of Manassas line, right? That changes the dynamic of what we're holding. ownership of the seminary yard, for instance, forthcoming as well. That changes that number on track a lot as well. But again, that the equipment and the stations are the forward-facing pieces to our, we want those to look nice, perform well, and that's what this really speaks to.
So, Dallas, in reference to what Ms. Zimmerman is asking, can you just kind of communicate with her?
Yes, I will. I'll update all of them.
Please, may I entertain one more question, because we do have closed session, and so if we can get our question done quickly, and so that we can address it, I think, please.
Right, very quickly, that's amazing. And I know that we'll be informing a lot of CIP discussions, absolutely. Do we account also for the condition of collateral assets that are not, I mean, there's the station, but it's, you know, the adjacent stuff also in
It
place?
doesn't. It's reported only as to what we own and maintain. And there's sort of three factors here: the things we own, the things we maintain, and the things we occupy, if you will, right? This is really only on the ones we own, right? From what that we paid for with ideas.
Would it be reasonable to talk with our partners and neighbors on asset collaborators there?
For sure.
To just have a moment of, you know, establishing a minimum level of expectations there.
I will offer that our asset management system does look at the ones, like I just mentioned, own, occupy, and maintain, but the reporting is solely for the ones that we own. And we do keep track of all of those assets. But so for instance, you take a parking lot at Rolling Road is owned by Fairfax County. But we're assessing the condition of that parking lot and the lights in it, for instance, right, with our reporting. We're not reporting that to the FDA because we don't own it. But we are documenting that and keeping track of it for ourselves. For the same reasons I mentioned.
Right, but then at some point on my CIP oversight and asset management dashboard, I would like to, if my ducks are in a row and in the green zone, I would rather like the other ducks to be green as well. I mean, I'm not going to have to inspect their lights, but you know, to know somehow that they are kind of in a corresponding condition.
I think there's an opportunity for collaboration with the adjacent, let's say, landowners, because they could be public or private, to ensure that access to our stations and the areas around them are as accessible and inviting as the stations themselves.
And we do that in the sense that we document and report out. Like if we have an issue with an elevator at Fredericksburg, let's say, right? We have that conversation with the Fredericksburg party.
The customer doesn't know who's elevator.
We get the call.
Yes.
For sure.
And as you know, we local jurisdictions are famously kind of a colorful bunch in terms of how we manage our assets.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate your explanation, and this is a wonderful report. If you haven't had a chance to digest it, please do. Next, we'll move to our spending authority report, please.
It's provided. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions?
Oh, pretty straight.
Righty, righty. So we do have a closed session that we have to conduct, and so I'd like for us to prepare for that. It's
That's not the
prepared.
right slide.
I'm sorry?
That's not the right slide.
I'm sorry.
It's not the right slide.
It's not the right
As far as like the script, the reason isn't correct. No, it's A3. Reason is correct.
Okay, as we're transitioning, we will get the correct slides.
The reason is right, it's A3.
But it's correct in the script, so if you just read the script, it will be correct.
Don't scare me.
I'm ready.
So we're gonna, as we're transitioning quickly, please, ladies and gentlemen, as we're transitioning quickly. Okay, if you could read the part, Mr. Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you. Pursuant to the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, section 2.2-711.A3 of the Code of Virginia, I move that the VRE Operations Board convene a closed session for consultation with General Counsel regarding discussions of acquisitions of real property for a public purpose. For discussion, an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining or negotiating strategies of a public body.
Do I hear a second? Thank you very much. Probably moved and seconded or it's moved. Okay.
We from IT are we turned off?
So
It'll be a roll.
3 minutes.
it'll be a roll call.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Mr. Vice Chair, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The VRE Board certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge with no individual member dissenting at the just concluded closed session. One, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Freedom of Information Act were discussed. And two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed session was convened were heard, discussed, or considered.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we need a roll call.
Okay.
Chair Bailey,
Aye.
Vice Chair Stark.
Aye.
Secretary Hayes,
Aye.
Treasurer Holmes. Aye. Ms. Luna. Ms. Bagley.
Aye.
Mr. Gordy.
Aye.
Mr. Karantonis. Ms. Bensing.
Aye.
Ms. Heiser. Dr. Young.
I agree.
And Director Zimmerman. And Madam Chair, that passed unanimously.
Thank you for the unanimous passing of that. So we're going to move forward with our operations board members. Time we're going to start. You're going to go last.
Well, thank you so much, and I apologize that I had to leave early for another meeting, but Katie, I just wanted to again welcome you, and it was great to see you in person this time. I loved our conversation on the phone. Looking forward to you coming down to Spotsylvania, a little farther than you were before, but and doing that. So and I'd like to also, discuss maybe doing something at the overhaul facility too at some point. So thank you so much. That's it.
Thank you very much. Ms. Holmes.
Welcome, Ms. Cho. It was wonderful meeting with you in Fredericksburg, and we could do that again.
Yeah, we could do it again.
But no, that's it.
Okay, Ms. Bagley.
Thank you. I want to thank Supervisor Stork for participating in Alexandria's President's Day Parade. Supervisor Stork is a fabulous Abraham Lincoln.
I was going to say, and George Washington, right?
Yeah, but it was really incredible, and I got lots of feedback from families who saw you and really enjoyed it. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and say thank you for putting in that time. We did bring the good weather for you, at least.
Amazing.
It was amazing. And then I just wanted to also express my appreciation to everybody on staff who's been a part of the shuffle. I happen to have taken the train twice during the shuffle, and there have been people readily identifiable in their vests, answering questions, answering a lot of Amtrak questions, which is nice, you know, just the things that have nothing to do with sort of our operations, but just staff being really friendly and really available. So I think, though I know this has been a hard time, I think VRE those staff members have actually been able to kind of uplift the profile a bit by being there at that time of day. So thank you to everybody.
And again, Ms. Maggie, thank you for your service. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. First of all, thank you. It's nice to see everybody back. I mean, after the last glaciation, and we are obviously not very well prepared for that. I mean, we are prepared, but in reasonable terms for our latitude. Thank you so much for reaching out and for having conversations. Welcome, Katie Cho, and again, thank you to all VRE staff that's been working so hard to keep these trains literally running and running well and safely. We are experiencing a period of real good interest in rail, not only in local transit. You know, normally we have this primary interest, but also in rail that connects Virginia in general. So working with the government here in that context, the Commonwealth has actually done a lot in the last 10 years to invest in rail, more than many states, even in the East Coast. Logically, we have some interest now from our constituents. So I have a few community meetings to invite you on along VRE, Crystal City and Panama City being the first ones. They haven't seen, they haven't interacted with leadership for a while. I think you know, when you feel comfortable in the spring, an update would be good for them, especially because they're also in the middle of our very intensive CIP that we need to deliver in the next few years. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's Lindsay.
Welcome, Katie. It was nice to talk to you the other day. I look forward to welcoming you to Manassas Park. Also, just thank you for the communication during the storm. It was very clear and it was good to be in the know of what was going on. And thank you to everyone who worked on that as well.
Okay, Mr. Stewart, thank you.
Welcome, CEO Joe. Great talking with you also the other day. Welcome, Jimmy. Yeah, not a lot to add. Let's just keep rolling.
Let's keep rolling. Ms. Zimmerman, welcome again.
Thank you again. And yes, Katie, I also very much appreciated our chance to talk last week and compare notes on a number of different things. I know you've also had an opportunity to talk to Secretary Donahue, and on his behalf, he's very excited to have you here and the work that's going forward. Certainly with my other hat as a VPRA chair, the work of VRE is really important to continue keeping the projects moving on time. And so I also very much appreciate it. I think it was maybe the Columbus Day last week. Mike gave me a tour of some of the construction work that going on. The hard hat was like keeping my head warm. So that's really been great. Just an update as well on the DRPT side. In addition to myself, we have a new chief deputy director who's Alan Fye. Many of you might know him. He had worked with Kate at NDTC and with folks in Alexandria at the city. I also want to give a shout out to Jen Monaco, who's here and also tracks all the work for VRE for DRPT team. We are working to pull together with VDOT the SIP, the next 5-year SIP, and so that the draft will be ready on April 21st. And so we will be working to do district hearings around the state to share that information with you all. And the last little thing I want to mention, next month is Transit Operator Appreciation Month. So DRPT, we do like to give a shout out to great transit operators across the state, including folks at VRE, and in your local jurisdiction. So if you haven't had a chance, please, I can share the link with you all. We can get that around where we are accepting applications through March 2nd. If there's anyone you want to nominate.
Mr. Mike?
Nothing for me.
Okay, great.
If I could perfect my John Milton Hay, I'll join you in the parade.
Wonderful, wonderful. Dan?
Nothing for me this morning.
Oh my God, wait a minute. Yeah. Damn, nothing. Mr. Gordy.
Welcome aboard. Look forward to our meeting here in a couple of weeks. And I know it's virtual, but I would love an opportunity to have you come out to the Broad Run area to take a look at everything that's happening in there, to understand context to where a lot of growth is taking place and potential future riders and how we can better promote that. Takis, you mentioned something that I'd like to kind of push a little further. I think there was an article a couple of weeks ago about Amtrak success over the past year. Passenger rail is having a renaissance, and we're seeing it across the country. And I think there's a fantastic opportunity in the midst of all this for us to continue to promote VRE as part of that. And from one other marketing opportunity potential, are you familiar with the Union Pacific Big Boy?
Yeah.
It's the largest steam engine in the world, I believe. And it's been restored by Union Pacific. It was built during World War II. It's supposed to be making the trek to the East Coast. And so we're waiting on the schedule, but if that does come to our area, and it's supposed to be a tour for the 250th. So if I'm just putting that out there as a potential co-marketing opportunity, because you're going to have thousands of people coming out to look at this incredible steam engine. But also a great way to promote modern day rail in the meantime. That's all. Thank you.
Fun facts. Ms. Young, welcome back. You're no longer an alternate.
Well, I wasn't always an alternate. Sometimes I was actually the second person. So yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you and welcome. Thank you for the call, the one-on-one. Very enjoyable, and hoping to invite you down to Stafford County also. We already talked about that. I wanted to thank the chair for your card and for your welcome and your invite and your call, and just an invite to the executive meeting today. Very enjoyable, very informative. And I also wanted to thank all the staff for the hard work over the storm days. It's not just one. Phenomenal. I've not heard it. Right? Sometimes people don't know the difference between the VRE and the Omniride and the VDOT, but kudos. I've just heard good things of how individuals were able to get off the buses, get off the trains without any issues. So I appreciate that. And with that, I close. I too have to leave early because I have a standing meeting with my county administrator.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So welcome, and as well, welcome to all the new members. I think we finally see how our board is gonna shape for the year. So it's exciting to get to work with each and one of you, and our new CEO. Thank you. We have had 2 meetings already, and they both have been very, I would say that it's been great, and I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to working together, especially in Manassas expansion for the station, but also in Broad Run as we bring commercial flights to the airport, and we have great needs that we already started to talk about. So, thanks to our immediate past year, and congratulations to the well-deserved award. Thank you for bringing us here, and I think the highlights were great, so I'm not gonna go into that. I will continue to advocate for increase in the marketing. For me, it's important that as the better weather comes around, that we market to young riders or families, so they all see the benefit and the easy travel on the VRE. I want to echo other commissioners' highlights when it comes to thanking the staff, when it comes to the historic ice snowstorm. I'm not sure how to call it, but I know it was a great effort from everybody. And I know VRE, safety is always first. So this was even a greater challenge to make sure not only the trains were running, but also to keep everybody safe. And I appreciate it. Along with the localities working together, because for all of us, it was a difficult time. And the last thing I want to continue to advocate for bilingual access or accommodations, not only for riders, but also when we are looking to new riders to attract them. And bilingual doesn't just mean Spanish. I mean, to the ones we know who we're targeting, that we also able to speak in their language. Because that's when they feel more comfortable and we can get to them. The last thing will be the weekend services. I have been saying it for a while, and for me, I do understand the undertake, the price, and everything that it might take. But even before I got here, I believe everybody had a sense of weekend service was coming. I believe I was reading VRE comments from yesterday in Facebook, and somebody was mentioning so. To me, maybe in the future, I'm not saying next month, you just got here, but I want to make sure that his staff is working in a way that we can provide a timeline or an expectation, because people still, riders and other, the community think that the weekend service is coming, soon. And we did great things. I got in the new train in Manassas, which, as it was said, over 10 years that hadn't happened. But we need to be sure that we are setting the expectation for the weekend service. I will continue to advocate for it, but I just don't want people thinking that it's coming tomorrow. And that'll be it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, please.
Thank you. Well, first off, Katie Cho, welcome. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to work with you and do that, I'm sure, a long time. I absolutely want to thank the staff with all the snow. And I've never seen anything like that. Of course, I had my pickaxe out, like trying to get through it. So I can't even imagine how difficult that would be to have so many different properties and how to get that restored. It's just incredible. And I have no doubt that people were sleeping in their trucks and trying to find how do I get even get home. So again, my deep thanks for all of you. I also want to thank folks for the 2025 annual reports. I'm already been going through it, looking at compared to 2024, which is helpful to me to get a sense of how we work and how things can go forward. Ms. Bagley, thank you very much. It was wonderful being at the parade and seeing you ride around on your bike. No surprise there for all of us. But it was a great experience and a great opportunity to connect with more of our public. And Madam Chair, welcome. You are now, this is your first full meeting. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much for the acknowledgement. First thing, Katie, did you, I know I said board members, but would you like to?
No, I have said enough, I think.
Okay. I want to remind you that we do have lunch afterwards, right, Les?
Yes, we do.
Okay, and Les, thank you for all that you do for us.
Thank you so much.
We have lunch afterwards. I also, in my closing remarks, I've got 1 minute and I'm going to do it in 1 minute. So one is, we know on the VRE board that relationships matter. That's how we move. And that's the fun part about being on the VRE board. And so relationships matter for the new members. Welcome again. We are going to bring you into the family no matter what. And want to thank Katie for just saying yes to us. I think you've made an impact already. And thank you for enlightening us about how you're going to marry to the 2030 strategic plan. That's important, giving us our roadmap to where we're going to be more, better, and faster. Won't forget that. Keep that etched in your brain, everyone. Transparency and communication is critical. And I think you've seen today, based upon the conversations that she and I've had with the staff, our impeccable, wonderful, leading staff. That's just how I feel about you, and we all feel that way about you. We're going to improve and enhance the transparency and communication. I think that's key, so that when you come to the board meetings, you know exactly what has happened, what's going to happen, and what should happen. So I think that's very important. The other thing that I've had some one-on-ones with most of you around the table. Some of you I have not yet. I will be calling to make sure that I have time with you to find out what is it that you want from the board as we move along. We're great, but we can be greater. So one of the things I've heard from everybody is a retreat. Keep that in mind. May or may not happen, but keep that in mind. Let's help me with that. And that's so that we can contribute to the 2030 plan as we build our strong relationships. Want to thank, again, our staff, always on point. Even if you don't know the answer, you bring the answers back to us. And so we appreciate that and the partnership that you show to us. Peggy and I had the opportunity, and I think it was Joe. No, was it Joe? Yeah, Joe, to attend the VTA reception at the General Assembly, and people are hungry for VRE. And people are hungry for the collaboration, like with VPRA and PTRC. They're hungry for our collaboration. So just thank you for bringing me in the fold in that. And then the other thing I just want to impart with y'all is to say that this is my, well, Bob's here. This is one of my special boards. And so my intention and my leadership is to make sure that I am in collaboration with you. And I don't know what I don't know, so please let me know what I don't know. That's important to me. And without any objections, this meeting is.